I'm in the Monty Canal, and this bit's currently being relined. You can see the waterfall behind me. They're doing a fantastic job. So I'm back on the Monty. This is Schoolhouse Bridge behind me. You've seen this a few times in my videos. There's a lot going on just behind, so I just want to cover that. So this, like I say, is Schoolhouse Bridge. It was a £1 million bridge, and it was the last bridge needed to get the Monty Canal to Wales. It cost £1 million because it had to be built in a very special way. They couldn't get a big bridge down through the lanes, so they built it in sections, which you can see up through here. And I was here to film all the lift of that. But they did a cracking job of it. It's all kind of ready to go now. Still doing a bit of landscaping, as you can see on this side. Otherwise, it's there. So behind me here is about 2 miles of waterway to be restored, and that opens up to Wales and the canal that's further back. There's quite a bit of water on the Monty, but it's completely isolated. There's a section between the Welsh section on the border and sort of the Newtown section, but there's a bit to do. I think there's 4 more bridges further down to do, which I believe they're using the same casting that they used for that bridge, which is why £1 million was actually a bit of a bargain, because it was there to build more than one bridge. So here we have line, and we're walking now towards Crickheath Basin, which is a section in water. And you can see the lines all here, and they're doing a lot of sort of clearance along here to try and get this ready to fill up with water. But what we're here to see is just a bit further ahead, and we covered it 2 months ago, but it's already progressed massively, and I want to catch it all before it's in water. And this is split into phases, and I think it's phase 1A they're doing at the moment. So unfortunately, part of the restoration is you've got to clear some trees out. So you can see here where they've cut this stuff. Now this, you can see how thick it is. This is all quick growing stuff. It's not really that good to the environment around. It doesn't hold anything like a bigger species of tree will there, which will hold far more species of animals than a small tree will. So this gets planted up. You can already see loads of stuff growing up through, and eventually will look just like this up ahead. So they always look a bit barren to start with. But you can see here, look, they've been pulling the stumps and stuff. They built a bund just here, and this will be for testing. So the channel in front of us will be due to be filled with water at some point, and they will then test to see how waterproof it is. If the water levels go down, they know they've got a leak and they need to do some lining on it. And they do this through small sections all through the canal, and that allows you to test each individual section rather than just filling one big area, then realising you've got a leak and you've got to find where. They've done these towpaths as well, and they're slowly working these all the way down. These ones are new. These have been done since I was here last. But just around this corner is what we're here to see. So there's many different ways to line a canal. You can just dig it and fill it with water. And if you've got the right substrate there, if you live in a clay area or even certain rocks and stuff, then you can pretty much seal a canal without any liner of any sort. But the most common way back in the day was to use like a puddling clay. And you put the clay in the canal bed, and then you would get the navvies to walk through, or run some cattle or sheep all through, and it would puddle it down and compact it, and then create a thick clay bed where the water can seep out of. But this here is a newer style, and you can see here, look, they've got this membrane down here, and this is up to a bund again, so another bund. The other one is literally just sort of over there, and this will go obviously, but they need to line it to test it. And it's currently not been filled, but this is just rainwater which is holding in the bottom. That's a good sign that it's holding, but it's also a bad thing because they have to still work down here, so they need to keep pumping it out. You can see already as we go through the stages, this was the first section to be done, and you can see how much green is on that other side. Now if we get to the other end, I'll show you how it's constructed, and then we can show you why it's built like that and why it's so green already. So what they do is they put a membrane down, like a plastic sheet, and then they put another membrane, it's like a jelly, and I'll show you some in a minute. And that jelly is, if it gets pierced, that jelly gets wet and goes very sticky. It stops any water from leaking through. And then these blocks are there to hold everything down, so otherwise it would just float away. You can see this section was done fairly recently. This was being done when I was here last, about 2 months ago. There's not a lot of green there at the moment. So you can see the liner here going up to the edge of the towpath, and they literally just mud over the top from that top brick there, or block there, and that allows a more natural sort of growth on the edge of the towpath, which is better for nature. That side is built slightly differently because you won't moor on that side. This side you need to get the boat in closer. So you can see just here, look how it all is. So that's another bund there, so they can test this section. They're currently using this for access. I'm not sure if the next section is being brought right up to here and they're going to lose that track across or not, but we'll get to that in a second. But this is, you see this sort of sheeting here. I just want to show you these bits here. So these are concreted in together lower down, but then they're filled up above, so they're solid, they're not moving anywhere, but they allow a natural growth to come through them and to sort of hide that bank. But it's a very rigid way of doing this bank. You can see sort of all growing out the top here, and this will encourage regrowth and various other things. Like expect a tree line will be planted on this side, they usually do that, so this will become a complete one with nature area with a nice waterway running through the middle of it. They didn't build these bunds like this, then the water would just literally leak through the end here, because as you look at it from this end, obviously these aren't cemented in, they're just laid loose, and they, like I say, they hold everything down. But if you just ran that up and cut it off and then put a mud embankment on top of it, all the water would leak through these gaps, so you wouldn't be able to create a seal. So you've got to bank it up and rebuild it here just to be able to test the section, and then once both sides are tested they can empty it all, take this out and then just finish the bottom bit off. If there's an issue then they know it's in that middle bit. So this is what it looks like when it's cleared, and then they profile it like this. So you've got the angles down into the bank. That's quite common on a canal. It's quite surprising how little the canal has sort of straight sides. Most people think all canals are like that on the sides, but they're really not, they're sloped. It's good for nature to restore it this way because nature can get in and out. But here we go, here's the liner look. So this is just like a pond liner. Much like, you know, if you put in a pond in your garden, you layer it in. And then they've got this here, which is a membrane. And if you look at it there, you can really see it's really sticky. And that's like a jelly. And that, if that gets penetrated, it gets wet. It causes it to expand and seal, and that is really sticky, you're not getting anything through that. And then they put this membrane on the top here, which protects all of that from the blocks. The reality is not going to get damaged by a boat, and if it does then it protects itself. The main problem you're going to have is people spiking into the bank, but that's not even an issue. You can see even how they put it in, that they spike it down while they're putting the layering on top. It seals itself, so it's perfect. On this other side over here was where we were last. They were cutting the concrete back, and the reason why they were doing that is so they could lay this membrane into it. And we'll take a little walk down here now and we'll look at this end and how they're sealing it there. So down in the bed of the canal you can see they're literally just laying it like a lead down brick wall, so they're doing it half and half. And this is the other side. So as I said before, the membrane, I was slightly wrong actually. The membrane goes behind it and then down and underneath. I thought they were taking it up and over the top. So that's sealed now. If that gets wet, that's fine. That's sealed now to the concrete of the space of the support of this wharf wall down here, which is, they're fine as watertight. So there's only one side is sloped here. And if we walk through this bed, you'll notice that up ahead hasn't been lined like this. That's because they've tested it and there's no leaks there. This actually becomes quite a nuisance in the winter months because it fills up with a good few feet of water, and they've got to keep pumping it out whenever they do work. And this is just how they finish it on the end. So it's literally just blocks cut and then up to an edging, and then this is sealed by either a clay or a natural sort of material that's in there that stops it from leaking. So last time I was here this was still all a bit of a mess as well. They hadn't really done any of the bank on the sort of hard right hand side. They were still restoring the wall on this side, which as you can see is all there now. So this was an old wharf up here, and there were cottages up there were part of it. I think it was a stone wharf, I can't quite remember. But this is connected from this bridge ahead of us to the network, and there's currently boats moored in there at the moment. One of them is a food boat actually. They're not working today, but they go to a lot of shows. I just met the guy further down the canal really nice guy, which is taking the plunge NB Capricious. So do find him on Instagram. There's some links in the description, as well as their YouTube channel, and show them your support. It looks really good, the food they do. But this section is going to be filled quite soon, I believe. People will test it. The reason being, they've got funding and they've got to get it done before it runs out. So it's been all hands on deck. They've been working really hard down here, actually. They only do work parties every 2 to 4 weeks. They do 2 or 3 days, but they've absolutely smashed it. It's looking fantastic. Let's just pop into the basin and see what that's looking like at the moment. That's just through here. Last time I was down here, this was all fenced off still as well. You couldn't even get down to the bed. Well, it's been reprofiled and dug. There's some ducks trapped up in here. I managed to get out, but they didn't look too happy. Little ducklings. So this was opened around a year ago, down through here, and provides a winding hole and mooring up here. It's a nice big area. There's quite a few boats here actually. I can see 3 now. I've only ever seen one in here before, so it's quite good to see. This is the boat you're looking for if you're ever at a show. Get some food from. It's a little kitchen. So I'll leave that one here. I hope you've enjoyed this update. We've done loads already. It's amazing how much has been done in 2 months since I was here. So hopefully, towards the end of the year, I reckon we might see quite a bit of water in it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.